The people of Israel and I are prepared to make such an historic peace. But we must have a Palestinian partner who's equally prepared to make this peace. Peace means ending incitement. It means fighting terrorism and condemning terrorism. And it means being prepared to truly end the conflict once and for all. If we're to succeed in our joint effort, President Abbas must reject terror and embrace peace.
Those are some pretty strong words from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, particularly with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry standing beside him. But now let's look at this scene from the West Bank today.
المسيرة الاحتجاجية تأتي على زيارة السيد كيري وزير خارجية أمريكا، وذلك في إطار المواجهة الحقيقية التي يعلنها شعبنا الفلسطيني في كل مكان ضد ما يسمى باتفاق الإطار الذي جاء به كيري من أجل حصار شعبنا الفلسطيني ومن أجل الحفاظ على المصالح الأمنية لدولة الإرهاب، دولة الاحتلال الإسرائيلي.
Well, I'll tell you honestly, I have lost track of the number of peace initiatives in the Middle East in my lifetime, all designed to create a breakthrough and all derailed fundamentally by the response from the Palestinian side, just no, no, no to everything. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic, maybe not. I'm joined now by Christian Whitten, a former State Department senior advisor. Is there anything in these talks that we should have optimism about?
No, I don't think so. You know, frankly, I'm surprised by Prime Minister Netanyahu's patience. You know, he just actually had surgery, gets to receive John Kerry the next day. They remarkably spend 5 hours talking. I can't imagine what you'd want to talk to John Kerry about for 5 hours. But, you know, the factors for peace just aren't there. The Palestinian Authority and certainly Hamas, which runs the other, you know, part of de facto Palestine, Gaza, has no interest and no willingness to recognize Israel's right to exist.
Yeah, to me, it's a bit like the Iranian negotiations. As Henry Kissinger said, negotiations only succeed if the minimum terms can be made to overlap. And the Palestinians' minimum terms seem to include, to be blunt, the abolition of the State of Israel.
Right, and that's the fundamental goal. Go back to the end of the Clinton administration when there was a deal on the table that gave the Palestinians something like 97% of the land they wanted, some land they didn't even ask for, and all they had to do was say, yes, they didn't. Fundamentally, they would just rather retain their power, retain their position, and incite the rest of the region, get money for it, and that is based on still presenting a terror threat to Israel and this promise that it will someday push the Israelis into the sea.
And some people make a kind of cynical assessment of Yasser Arafat back then and of Abbas today, that they can't accept a deal because they know they can't govern, that their power depends in a curious way on not being ever been given any real responsibility. Do you think there's anything to that?
I think so. Certainly within Gaza, you look at the Hamas-run situation there, and this is not a model state. I mean, if that's what's in store, then Israel is right to be very concerned. Also, Israel can just look next door at what Hezbollah is up to. Hezbollah is an extension of this whole political effort against Israel, and Hezbollah just took delivery of very sophisticated anti-naval weapons. Now, go back to the West Bank and Abbas. Yeah, it just seems like the political factors aren't there, that they would rather just lament the situation, define themselves as opposed to Israel, and not take yes for an answer for peace.
Yeah, and I remember also on a more cosmic level, somebody once accused Yasser Arafat of having this compulsion to try and take the pot with a pair of fours. And you look at the Palestinian reaction to offers going back to the 1920s when the British offered them, short of complete control, an agreement that would have kept Jewish immigrants out. And they said no. And every time they get an offer, it's less attractive than the last one. Every time they say no. Is it possible that they're so deluded they believe they're on the brink of ultimate victory and this would be a preposterous time to surrender?
I think they realize that, certainly in Washington, we have an administration that's willing to beat up on U.S. allies and try and force them to accept bad deals. If you look at the deal with Iran that you mentioned, that was negotiated at the beginning behind the backs of the Saudis and the Israelis. While we were telling them, trust us, we have your back, we were negotiating behind their backs. And also, if you look elsewhere in the world, look at Central Europe, the way the Obama administration treated Poland and the Czech Republic, the way it's had a double standard where we're harder on our Japanese allies in the Pacific than our Chinese adversaries. I think the Palestinians think that maybe this is, maybe they can have a situation where Washington forces Israel to do something that's not in its interests.
Yeah, and I think maybe Netanyahu's strong words standing next to John Kerry were a public rebuke to him, telling him, you've come at the wrong time and you've come without anything. But I guess the Israelis are pretty used to that.
Yeah, they seem to be. And again, you have to give Netanyahu credit for having patience here. You have John Kerry coming and saying, make peace with the people who are committed to your destruction and to, again, bring up Hezbollah. I mean, that is the Iranian de facto army on Israel's border with the goal of abolishing Israel. And they have Hamas in the south. Both of these people intermittently lob rockets at Israel, and Hezbollah is preparing very significantly for a serious war with very sophisticated weapons. And to say that you Israel have to do more to rectify this seems like a lot to ask.
Well, there's another encouraging look at a international development. Scott Wynn, thanks for joining us with that depressing look at Israel and the prospects for peace.